Thanks a lot, everyone, again for joining for the 12th episode of 10 Minutes of Wisdom. Sorry, this time we took a lot of time to come out with our 12th episode. Sorry for my laziness and tardiness, but I hope to make it up with a very brilliant episode today. I have Rahim with me. Rahim is a well known CISO. Well known in the APAC community. He has done multiple CISO, BISO stints in multiple organizations. And when I was talking to him in one of the events, I think one of the critical aspects that he was discussing with me is mergers and acquisitions and what role cyber plays and what are the some misconceptions. So I thought it would be an interesting, fascinating topic for my next this podcast. And I'm very grateful for Rahim to join us here. Thank you, Rahim.
Hey, thanks, Sunil, for your kind words. Really appreciate having me here and very much enthusiastic and excited to speak on these topics.
Yeah. So, Rahim, to start with, like we started that discussion that day. Even I am from cyber community for last like 18 years, but I had some misconception when I was talking to you on cyber, and you corrected me. So, from that perspective, let's start on that. What are the common misconceptions that people have about cyber's involvement in acquisitions?
Okay, okay. The first and foremost thing that I think we need to clear off is it's not just cyber. A lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about mergers and acquisitions. So if you do a simple search, you would come up with articles and articles and articles from reputed business sources saying that mergers and acquisition is a very egocentric activity. Uh, Fortunately or unfortunately, that has some value to it. And then there are a lot of things going on behind the scene. And then comes cyber as one of the verticals that does certain things or expected to do certain things. And within cyber itself, in your normal day-to-day activities, people think it's an overhead, it's a tick box activity, it's a compliance activity. We don't want to do this if we can get away from it, so on and so forth. And the same attitude, unfortunately, flows into majority of the M&As that is occurring across the world. And to get the right person to do the right thing is very challenging. And especially when organizations don't give that weightage to the analysis, to the reports coming out of the cyber due diligence, that would actually hamper a lot of the ongoing M&A activities like pre-merger, post-acquisition, so on and so forth. So it's not very clear cut. And unfortunately, even within the cybersecurity community, a lot of people are not exposed to these kinds of activities.
Hmm.
So in terms of the talent, in terms of the expertise, it's also quite limited, which is complicating this factor further. So I would say these are some of the challenges and some of the misconceptions that we have within this particular domain.
Hmm. Yeah, that's quite interesting actually. So we talk a lot about governance, and we'll talk a lot about having a complete visibility in security, and mergers and acquisition is one of those areas where we don't talk much, but that's one of the easy uh, victims of these aspects where you don't have enough visibility and things can go south pretty quickly. So I think, and also mergers and acquisition is mainly driven by business, not by much by cyber or anything. Cyber is always just to enable or do a check of whether that acquisitions are doing happening correctly, like it's a correct fit or not. So building trust at that relationship with the other team who are from business, legal, uh, finance, and the entire corporate would be very important, and they have their own set of agendas. So how do you build a trust with these kind of personnel, and how you can have a weightage of what you say in their decision making?
Well, it is true. Cyber, like any other functions within a business, right? It is an enablement function.
Mm.
Uh, when you're looking from the lens of mergers and acquisitions, it's not just cyber giving their 2 cents. Everyone is doing similar due diligence activities, and they are coming up with their own viewpoint on why it is good or why it is bad, and so on and so forth. So cyber also does the same thing, and you can't just rely on one particular function's output to decide whether the M&A is going ahead or not. At the end of the day, we as a business need to look at whether it is a net gain or net loss for us. So
Mm,
if there is a net gain and if
mm,
it's worth taking the risk, you go ahead with it.
mm,
And if it's a net loss, then obviously you're not going ahead with it unless you want to write it as a tax write-off. So
mm,
again, A is driven by a number of reasons. It could be as simple as I want to write a loss somewhere, or as good as there is a lot of value to be had and I
correct.
want to get it done. So it's a whole spectrum of things, and that actually dictates how you want to proceed in running these activities. And these kinds of unwritten rules comes up only if you have a good relationship with all the other teams that you're working with.
Yes. Yes.
So you need to support each other. You need to showcase that you have a value.
Mm,
So even before you sit across the table, you need to start having these conversations. Even before the deal comes in, you need to have these conversations. So speak with your general counsel, speak with your financial team, have some good rapport relationship with them, start
mm,
nurturing it, and trade expertise, trade points, because they have been doing this for so many years now.
yep.
Cyber is more of a recent baby in this
Correct.
world. Uh,
Correct.
well, it's not really a baby. It has been in existence for quite a while, but it has become the hype and the buzzword
Yep.
more in the recent years. So
Mm,
you need to put yourself in front of them and ensure that they think you provide the value that you
mm,
provide,
mm,
and you need to showcase that. So you need to start building that, even building that relationship even before all this begins.
yeah.
So when the thing happens, then it becomes easier for you to speak with them, gain their trust, provide advice from your perspective, get their advice from their perspective, so on and so forth. So it becomes a very circular economy. You share something to
Yep.
them and they share something with you. And at the
Correct.
end of the day, you all work together to get the right outcomes.
Oh, that's nice. So basically, like you said, it's not only important to be an SME or a expert in your cyber vertical, but you need to also understand why that merger and acquisition is happening. What are we deriving as a company, and then how do you fit your visibility into that. And for that, you also need to understand the business side of it. And that
Yes.
starts even before the merger and acquisition. And
Yes.
once that team has that trust that this guy understands what we are trying to do, and now he's trying to help, there will be a better audience for you. That's what I think is the
They
message.
essentially
Yeah.
trust that you're the right person to do the right job.
Yeah.
End of the day, it's all about trust, regardless of whether it is a person, whether it is a company, or whatever the case is.
Yeah. So whenever you get this news of a new acquisition, like suppose your company might do, or wherever you're working might do, what are the like from cyber perspective, what are the two, three top things or risk that you f- look at? F- I know you must be doing a deep due diligence, but initial top three, two, three things that you look at.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I'll have to mention this. It's not a company perspective. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not speaking on behalf of my company.
yeah,
So
yeah, that's true.
this is more of very personal stuff with me,
Correct,
my own experience, my own
correct,
backgrounds.
correct, correct.
So this is going to be a bit of a cliche answer,
Hmm.
but the three top risks for me is always people risk, process risk, technology risk. It doesn't matter whether you're doing M&A, it doesn't matter whether you're doing XYZ, whatever the case is. It's always these three.
Hmm.
So people, especially within the M&A, you might have an awesome software, you might have awesome revenues coming out of it, but
Hmm.
if your culture is not good,
Correct,
you're going to have a very hard time
correct.
doing whatever you want to do.
Hmm.
So people risk, in fact, for me is very, very much high in the risk prioritizations.
Okay.
Technology is easy. In fact, people think technology is difficult. No, technology is easy. You
Hmm.
just need to put in the right configurations, uh, give the right directions.
Correct,
It will do what it is expected to do.
correct.
Yeah, well, AI is a game changer at this point. It might actually do something that is not expected to. But speaking in general, it usually does and give the right outcomes. But people, on the other hand, it's very hard because
Hmm.
they have their own values, they have their own guidelines. And when you put a number of people together, then the value is a group value, not their individual value.
Correct.
People in a group
Very
react differently to
important.
people, individuals. So we need to consider all these kinds of things. And end of the day, to answer, people, process, technology. Those are
That those are the things. You make very important points. So if I have to summarize this overall discussion. First is like we discussed, when you talk about cyber's role in M&A and everything, these are not um, classic courses, or these are not classic things that we learn typically from cyber perspective as cyber professionals. At least I didn't do that. So it's very important to build trust within that ecosystem that you will be working on. Having your own technology knowledge is important, but I think more is about understanding the business, why it is happening, and so on and so forth. And obviously, if you also can build a framework of yours which works for you when you go and tackle any new M&A, what are the things you will look at, what are the low hanging fruits, and then how do you deep dive. That's something that any cyber person should look at building. And I think the last thing that you said, technology risk is there, which, but more or less industry has identified ways to address that. But people risk and how the culture fitment is, it comes with the experience of how do you manage and how you lead on that. So I think very important and interesting points, Rahim. Thanks for your time today. Hope to catch up with you when you're back in Melbourne.
Yeah, likewise, Vinel. It's wonderful speaking with you, and no, I like your questions. Happy to provide you more inputs as
Yeah.
needed.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. See ya.